Day Date function is one of the most widely used features of the watch. It makes sense, probably because after you know what time it is, the next logical question is what day and date is it? This complication is popularized by Rolex since the 1950s. A Rolex Day Date is one of the most iconic watches of all time. It is worn by many powerful personas of the world. The watch itself is also surrounded by both myths and facts. To achieve that success, Rolex did not only build a great watch, they are true marketing master too. A Rolex Day Date became a part of history by somehow being managed to get the watch to associate with some of the most influential persons of all time, like the obscure stories of President Eisenhower's ownership and the present for JFK from Marilyn Monroe. True or not, once people already associate a Rolex Day Date with presidency, the links are proven hard to be undone. Besides the provenance, the straightforwardness and the functionality of fully written day is what makes this style of dated watch work so well. The day position on top of the dial is quintessential. The designer got it so right that it seemed to be the only natural position on the dial to look for a day indicator, which actually is not, as you will see in one of the featured pieces today. There are many options of watches to choose from with this fully written day date complication. You can go with the original Rolex, or an homage, or a reinterpretation of the day date function from vintage or modern brands, which take a design cue from Rolex and reimagine it in their own style. Today, we'll take a look at 3 examples of fully written day date watch. A vintage Sandoz Day Date, which is the Rolex homage. A vintage Citizen Day Date, a Japanese take on the complication. And a modern day date reimagined, the Nanok, from the micro brand Hamtun. This vintage Sandoz Day Date is made to resemble a Rolex 18038 dial style, which has small Roman numerals on the minute track. The day is slightly different from the original, with numbers after the day. It wears very similar to a Rolex, but of course not with the same material and finesse. It is a good quality homage, which together with heavy threads of wearing can make it look like an old worn-out Rolex. The second piece today is a vintage Citizen Day Date. Here we see the Japanese reinterpretation of the day date function. What I think is interesting about this piece is the position and orientation that place the fully written day at 6. In the completely horizontal rectangular window with round ends that adds the character to the otherwise a plain Jane 3-hand watch. Apart from these 2 vintage pieces, the Hamtun Nanok is the modern day reimagination of what the day date of today should look like. The piece has black dial with high contrast markers, good lume, bigger and chunkier case in bead blast finish stainless steel. All of that are the archetype of stainless steel sports watch, which are combined with dated 3-hander functionality. The result is quite refreshing for the complication we've been seeing since the 50s. With modern-day sporty style, the contrast and legibility are high, and there are things that the watch community prefer today that are different from the past, such as the date window is at 6 and comes without side clock. That creates symmetry on the dial and leaves the surface of sapphire glass uncluttered. A few more twists that make this piece fun to look at are the unique hand style and some color play on the dial. There are blue dots on the minute track, matching with the name Nanok on the dial and at the tip of the second hand. The build quality is great. Both the case and bracelet are substantial. The clasp is where there can be some improvements. It is very thick and chunky. True that it helps balancing the weight of the case, but the fact that it is thick makes it press into the wrist when you place the hand on something for a few minutes. No harm done, but it could be more comfortable. Another point is micro adjustment. With just a few holes, I cannot find the perfectly fit size, so I wear it a little bit looser than usual. But these all downsides could be solved easily by wearing it on strap. A Rolex Day Date was created in the 50s when men dressed more formally, and the watch that goes with it has to complement that style of attire. Today, less and less people dress that way, even in the working days. Naturally, the accessory goes in the same direction. Casual sports watch is hence the flavor of the day. A day date, rationally, should also be reimagined to fit the present day. And the Hamtun Nanok is the fine example of that. How to reinterpret the successful formula of the past in today's world is a reinvigorating mental exercise a good designer always loves to do.